Hi, Mr. Pollard here, and welcome to the YouTube channel. Today, what I'd like to do is talk to you about this great novel, Purple Hibiscus by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And in particular today, I want us to look at how to go about analysing an extract, how to go about planning, and how to write an essay response for the Cambridge IGCSE specifications. Purple Hibiscus. So the question is the first thing that we look at, step one. So in what ways does Adichie make this such a disturbing moment in the novel? Okay, so step two then is to have a look and think about what the key words are and to underline them. So in this case, I have chosen how and disturbing moment. And I've skipped stage three because I kind of know what the key synonyms are for disturbing. Okay, so the next step four then is to do active reading and annotation at the same time. Well, what I've done here is actually done this already, so you can see the annotations that I've made. So let's run through the passage. Mama came home the next afternoon. Kevin brought her in the Peugeot 505 with a factory name emblazoned on the passenger door, the one that often took us to and from school. Jaja and I stood waiting by the front door, close enough for our shoulders to touch, and we opened the door before she got to it. So this is the moment in the novel where Mama returns having lost a baby, we believe as a consequence of Papa Eugene's violence. So the anticipation, the verbs are always very, very important in a passage or in an extract in giving you an idea of the mood, the tone, and things like that. So they're anticipating Mama's return. They're anxious for her to come back. Look at how they are both close enough for our shoulders to touch. Maybe that's a symbol of togetherness and strength. She said, hugging us, my children. She wore the same white t-shirt with God is love written on the front. Her green wrapper hung lower than usual on her waist. It had been knotted with a lazy effort at the side. Her eyes were vacant, like the eyes of those mad people who wandered around the roadside garbage dumps in town, pulling grimy, torn canvas bags with their life fragments inside. So there's quite a lot to unpack in this paragraph. The t-shirt perhaps symbolizing Mama's faith and her strength. The verb hugging, suggesting how close she is to her children. The idea of things being different about her. You know, the fact that her Cambelia notices her green wrapper hung lower than usual on her waist. And this is mentioned later as well. You've also got the simile here, vacant like the eyes of those mad people. So there's got to be something significant about that. And life fragments, the idea of kind of loss, maybe being something significant there. There was an accident, the baby is gone, she said. Okay, so we can go back and see that this probably is an example of foreshadowing. I moved back a little, stared at her belly. It still looked big, still pushed at her wrapper, so the repetition of still there. In a gentle arc, was Mama sure the baby was gone? I was still staring at her belly when Sissy came in. Sissy's cheekbones were so high they gave her an angular, eerily amused expression, as if she were mocking you, looking at you, and you would never know why. Good afternoon, Madame Minot, she said. Will you eat now or after you bathe, eh? For a moment, Mama looked as though she did not know what Sissy had said. So the fact that Mama is not really able to function. Not now, Sissy, not now. Give me water and a towel. Mama stood hugging herself. So what about that symbolism there, or the significance of that phrase? In the centre of the living room, near the glass table, until Sissy brought a plastic bowl of water and a kitchen towel. The etagere had 3 shelves of delicate glass, and each one held beige ballet dancing figurines. Mama started at the lowest layer, polishing both the shelf and the figurines. I sat down on a leather sofa closest to her, close enough to reach out and straighten her wrapper. Okay, so you've got these images to do with fragility. The etagere itself is made out of glass, fragile. It's already been broken earlier in the novel. The figurines are obviously very fragile. So maybe this goes back to this idea of fragments and fragility. And hey, this is your study time. Go upstairs, she said. Why does she say this? Why is this disturbing? Well, they're all frightened of Papa Eugene. I want to stay here. She slowly ran the cloth over a figurine, one of its matchstick-sized legs high in the air, before she spoke. And there you go. So again, you've got the matchstick-sized legs again, fragility, and this fear of Papa, which is unsettling, disturbing. I went upstairs then and sat staring at my textbook. The black type blurred, the letters swimming into one another, and then changed to a bright red, the red of fresh blood. The blood was watery, flowing from my mouth, flowing from my eyes. So the red symbolism, blood, the loss of the baby, the repetition of flowing here, Cambidi's imagination. I lay on the floor, curled tight like the picture of a child in the uterus. Obviously, this simile is significant given that Mama's just lost baby. In my integrated science for junior secondary schools, get up, get away from that painting. I lay there, did nothing. Get up, Papa said again. I still did not move. And then in this paragraph here, we've got all the different kinds of violence that Papa inflicts on Cambili in this instance. He started to kick me. So look at the verbs. The metal buckles on his slippers stung like bites from giant mosquitoes. So yet another simile. He talked non-stop, out of control in the midst of Igbo and English, like soft meat and thorny bones. So again, slightly odd simile there. Godlessness, heathen worship, hellfire. The kicking increased in tempo, and I thought of Amika's music, her culturally conscious music that sometimes started off with a calm saxophone and then whirled into lusty singing. I curled around myself tighter around the pieces of the painting. They were soft, feathery. So the idea of her going into this kind of fetal position, given that what's gone on with Mama losing her baby, is disturbing. They still had the metallic smell of Amika's paint palette. The stinging was raw now, even more like bites, because the metal landed on open skin on my side. So he's inflicted so much violence that her skin has broken. My back, my legs. Kicking, kicking, kicking. What about the repetition there at that? Perhaps it was a belt now because the metal buckle seemed too heavy. Because I could hear a swoosh in the air. A low voice was saying, please, Biko, please. More stings, more slaps. So the repetition of stings here is significant. A salty wetness warmed my mouth. I closed my eyes and slipped away into quiet. And the ending of this extract is deeply disturbing, isn't it? Because the violence causes Cambili to lose consciousness. So very quickly, just to look at how I went back, and obviously the next stage, step 5, is to look for patterns and kind of group together ideas and techniques. And there's lots going on here. There's lots of different ways that you could go about grouping your ideas in this extract. And this is what I came up with in the end, a very short introduction, looked at the symbolism. Next paragraph was eyes and seeing. The next paragraph, repetition. The 5th paragraph looking at compliance of the family to Papa, and then a very brief conclusion. And so in the next video, what I'll do is I'll show you what that essay looked like using the annotations that we've just looked through and using this plan here. So join me next time on the channel. Look forward to seeing you then. If you've got any questions at all, please put them in the comments. I'll be really, really happy to answer them. And obviously, if you want to be the first to get new content to help you ace your English, then please hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you next time on the channel. Okay, goodbye.